Welcome back to Is It Crazy or Is It God?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
I'm
What is going on?
I'm Faith and this is James.
Yes.
Just looking to make sure you
Yes. Make sure I got
okay.
nothing on my face. So fresh and so clean. You guys know about that. All right. So, welcome to It's Crazy as a God, where we talk about the Bible and how we all should be reading it because this is valuable lessons and instructions that we can all learn from life, and it's in the Bible. So, and it's not just that, the stories
Mm.
are really really good, actually.
I mean, relevant.
It's some stuff in here, man, that you would be surprised that happened in the Bible. Like, did I just read that in a chapter? But yes. So that's what we're about, man. So let's get to it. How was your week, Faith?
My week was wild.
Mm.
It was very humbling. What we read this week was, like I said, so relevant, and um, I guess it's stricken to say, just to remind people, we're just regular people. We're not pastors. We're not, any better than anybody else out there. We're just trying to read the Bible, and we welcome you to read with us because it's fun when you read together. Um, yeah. you know, Lower your expectations because we're not journalists or, news anchors either. So, this is like raw and uncut. We're not perfect people. We literally are just trying to make it, just like everybody else, just trying to make it through. And this week was, trying for me, but I got through it and God was with me. And, you just never know what other people are going through, and you never know, what God is preparing you for or working through you to do. So, yeah, I mean, long and short of it is my week was tough. It was jam packed with lots of obligations and responsibilities and, tough news and, resilience. Thank God. So that's how my week was, learning about myself every day, learning about, you know, the things that I need to work on. And, we just want to be really transparent and just letting people know that we're not like preachers, and we're not trying
Mm-hmm.
to tell people that, what they should do. We just want to highlight the magnificence, and it's literally so impactful to read what we're reading and see how it really connects to what we're going through. So that's how my week was. Kind of weird, right? Was
Yeah,
that a good
yeah, yeah,
explanation? I don't know.
yeah.
Anyway, how was your week?
It was jam packed and um not up and down, but I just learned some things this week where it was, when I don't know, maybe I could speak for. I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but when you like are consistently doing something. So I pushed my show back because everybody has life. That
Mm-hmm.
happens. My other podcast, Fourth Quarter, and I found myself kind of like idle a little bit, and but I'm so used to working with that, and I was just like, oh, you know, it's it's you should be doing something right
Mm-hmm.
now, and you know, I learned that time is valuable. So this week it is jammed packed. I have we have a long week, and excuse me, guys, and it's okay, right? I gotta help out some friends. Um, we both we got both our lives this week, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be and we want to do some cleaning, some yard work. It's gonna be. I'm doing the yard work, guys. Don't worry about that. But it's gonna be jammed packed. So last week was a good time for me to appreciate that idle time because it ain't happening this week. But it's good though because I need to be busy. I need to be busy, and I should be busy. But there was some good things this week. You know, some figured out a new name for my other podcast. That's coming soon. So shout out to that, and we're working through that, and you know, I'm just blessed, guys.
Yeah.
Just learning not to complain, but we're gonna get into that. Right. So this week we read Numbers 5 through 13. Okay. So 5 and 6, there were rules for cleansing and the Nazarite vow. So the Nazarite vow, let me make sure because I don't want to be.
It's now known that fermented food beverages.
Yeah.
Cause inflammation. Oh, right. That was when they were talking about if a woman has been unfaithful, or if her husband thinks that she was committing adultery, then they had to do something.
The test of adultery, where it was like they had to drink.
Right, it was water, but they had put dust in it. So basically, you're kind of not drinking mud. I don't think the consistency was that thick, but just basically, what I gathered was it was dirt water, right? So what they would do is, and I'm paraphrasing here, which is why we always just encourage you to read for yourself. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm telling you what I thought it said, which is, if a woman was thought to be having an affair, basically, from her husband, with someone other than her husband, then they would bring her to the priest, and then the priest would take some dust from the tabernacle, put it in the water, and she would have to drink it. And if she didn't get sick, then that proved that she wasn't, that she didn't commit adultery. And this was in the absence of witnesses. So this is like an accusation, like nobody kind of saw it, but the husband thinks that it would have happened. So, I had some thoughts about that, but it's the Bible. Like, I can have thoughts about it. It doesn't make my thoughts real. It doesn't make my thoughts truer than what's written in the Bible. But I definitely was like taken aback by it, because I'm like, what if she just got sick from drinking the dirty water, right? But this is where you have to, I guess, have faith, because adultery back then was a sin punishable by death.
Yeah.
So I, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, well, what if she didn't, what if she was an adulteress? I don't know if that's.
And she would not.
Then faith, right, kicks in. So that's what, I would imagine that's what the Bible says. Of course, I was thinking, what if she didn't commit adultery, and then she went and drank the dirty water, and then she got sick because of the dirty water? But, that's not, I guess, the way that it's supposed to be taken.
No, yeah. Well, here's the thing about what we're doing here about reading the Bible, right? So God is really big on do as I say. Right? Don't worry about getting sick, because I can control all of that. So if you got sick, that means you were an adulterer. If you didn't, you can be fruitful and multiply. So it's just I guess a test. So, and if you were a man and you committed adultery, you automatically die. I believe so.
But again, we go back to this theme of like, you just want to do the right thing anyway, so that you're not caught in that position. And unfortunately, I'm sure there were people who were just thought to have committed adultery and had to drink the water, but maybe those people didn't get sick. And so, but the reason I bring that up is because the person who would say, oh no, I don't want to drink that, would probably, have been admitting that, like, well, why wouldn't you want to drink it if you believe in God and you're going to drink this dirty water, then you know he's going to take care of you. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you didn't commit adultery, like the person who says like, oh, no, 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 well, why do I have to do that, is probably then admitting guilt. Like, that's kind of how I looked at
Yeah,
it. But
because it's like, why? Why not? Why are you so? What do you have to hide by,
right,
you know,
not
by
wanting to drink
by
it.
not wanting to drink it?
Yeah,
Especially back then when the presence of God is real. Like,
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah,
like
the cloud, everything. Yeah.
let's not. I'm not saying the presence of God is real nowadays, but we're talking about there's a cloud and a tabernacle
Mm-hmm.
that you see God.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
see a cloud,
If that,
God is in your presence. He's giving Moses direct instructions. We're gonna read later.
yeah, with that cloud and then fire by night. So
Yeah,
it was, yeah, it was a different time.
yeah.
It was definitely a different time. So and then
So if you committed a sin, it's real.
yeah, and I mean, even though, like, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I've committed sin before in my life and I prayed about it. So I would imagine you would still have, a chance to
I think you do
speak
the
to God.
offerings. I think that's when they do the
That's the
sin
offerings.
offering.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess that would be in the case where,
Yeah.
yeah, listen,
But it's
it
some
already
things you
happened.
can't. Yeah, some things you can't do. I think like adultery, or if you worship an idol. I think those are you can't give an offering for that. I think God is just like you have to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like and
So
then they
wait,
had the rules. Then they had the rules on top of the rules, where it's like you can't kill your neighbor's
yeah,
animal, and
mm-hmm.
if you
I
kill
don't
it,
think were those the commandments. I know
no,
they were
no,
right
they
around
were
the time that
rules.
they were saying
Yeah,
the
yeah, they
commandments
weren't
were.
commandments. They were rules on top of rules. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of rules
So
that they had
rules
to
to
live
live
by.
by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So some rules would say you're gonna die, and some rules would say you're not gonna die.
You have to be,
Some are unclean. Some you have to give an offering. Some you have to give an animal or give.
or you would be removed from your people, or you would die. Right? Like
Yep.
those are some things.
Yeah. So that's what we were getting into, and the Nazarite vow. That's just basically it's when a Nazarite he dedicates himself to the Lord. So that's what they were. So Nazarites are kind of like they made the vow to the Lord. So that's what it is. Like for instance, they're saying that John the Baptist were Nazarites. Samson and Samuel, their people were dedicated to the Lord. So that's what a Nazarite. That's what this vow is. The vow is the vow from the Nazarites to the Lord, where they're vowing their service to the Lord. So that's what that the Nazarite vow is. So here's the question. It is now known that fermented food and beverages can cause inflammation in the digestive tract and even the brain. Why should holy people try to be healthy?
Um. Okay, so why should holy people try to be healthy? I guess it's connected to that statement,
Mm-hmm.
right? The fermented food, which is why I brought up the lady having to drink the water,
Mm-hmm.
because it says something about how her belly would swell because of the fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I kind of take that question as a part, right? Like, why should holy people try to be healthy? Back in this day,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm applying it to that, I think that if you had something like leprosy or boils or whatever, you would have to be quarantined. Basically, you have
Mm-hmm.
to be away from your people, and you might be considered to be unclean. Well, you would be considered to be unclean,
Mm-hmm.
and that you wouldn't want to like defile anyone else, so they would remove you from people, and you would have to just like be alone. I would think that
Mm-hmm.
would be the reason why you would try to want to be healthy back then, because you could get other people sick, and they didn't have like modern medicine where it's just like, you're sick, just go to the doctor, they'll fix you up.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta like be
Be clean.
you gotta be cleaned. You have to be like away from everybody, make sure you don't, and back then, well, shoot, I was gonna say, back then it was a lot of plagues, but I mean, there's kind of a lot of plagues these days too. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's modern day. I think holy people should try to be healthy because you just want to live your best life, you know,
Yeah.
and do, you know. Okay, what
Yeah.
do you think?
I agree with you. I think back in these times, being healthy would help you survive longer.
Mm-hmm.
From plagues, and I think that translates to this day. The same thing you said. If you get a disease, they most times if you're a really healthy person, your body fights it more than if you're unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you know, that's why I think why holy people should be healthy. You want to be clean. I feel like healthy is cleanliness, I guess, to a sense.
To a certain extent,
To
I
a
would
certain
agree.
extent, yeah.
Because there's some people who, like Job, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
right? He didn't necessarily do anything sinful, but
Mm-hmm.
he went through all of that. So, and that was why his friends thought that he did commit sin.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's probably another reason. So so people won't think you committed sin,
Mm-hmm.
right? So okay, number 7, the tabernacle dedication offering.
Yes. So this is when the 12 tribes of Israel. So remember who Israel is, guys. Israel is Isaac, who's Abraham's son. But he became Israel when he wrestled with God. And because of what God promised Abraham, right? Well, Abraham had 2 sons, but Isaac was the son that had the blessing from the Lord. Right? No. Yeah. No, Isaac was. No, wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Abraham had Jacob. Then Jacob, because remember, Jacob and Esau were brothers.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait.
So I thought.
Wait, hold on. Wait, guys. Wait. Isaac. Is Isaac Abraham's? No. No.
I thought it was Isaac. Jacob. Jacob is Israel.
Jacob is Israel.
Jacob is Israel.
Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob and Esau.
And Jacob
is Israel.
Yeah, I hope we're right about that.
Yeah, I believe
hey guys,
we are,
you gotta read along so you can correct
read
us.
along, correct
when
us,
we don't remember this
but
stuff.
I believe, but yeah. So anyway, but Israel had 12 sons, and that's where Joseph, Benjamin, Judah, and these are the 12 tribes of Israel. So it breaks down of each tribe giving to the Lord. So it's very specific instructions. They had to. I'm just gonna just read an example. So on the first day, I'll go on the second day. On the second day, Nathaniel, this is number 7:18. On the second day, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, the chief of Issachar, made an offering. He offered for his offering 1 silver plate, whose weight was 130 shekels, 1 silver basin of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The sanctuary has, you have to have different sets of shekels specifically to the sanctuary because the sanctuary is in the tabernacle and this is for the Lord, right? It's the most holiest place. Then both of them is full of fine flour with oil for the grain offering. Then it's a golden dish of 10 shekels full of incense, right? Flour. Then it's 1 bull from the herd, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old for the burnt offering, 1 male goat for the sin offering, and a sacrifice for the peace offerings: 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. So each day, each different 12, each one of the 12 tribes would give that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the dedication offering for the tabernacle. So that's what 7 was about. Mm-hmm. Just want to explain to you because it's very specific, and it seems like it has all the offerings in there, and it seems like, because I believe the peace offering is like the big feast. So I think it was it's basically a dedication to the Lord. So here's the question. The
It seems weird to say that, right?
Yeah.
It seems like racist or something.
The Israelites were extraordinarily record keepers.
Were extraordinary record keepers, right? They were.
Why is this fact important?
I would say for so many reasons.
Yeah.
We are reading this and it's exact, right? Mm-hmm. If they were keeping these records kind of like disorganized or in a disorganized way, it wouldn't make sense. So a lot of times when we go through and read this, and I've said this before, it can look a little bit repetitive because we went through and read each tribe what they gave, and it was the same exact thing that they offered, but it was just saying it, for each tribe. I think it's important that they were record keepers, so good at keeping records, because if we couldn't, here's the thing that's just now hitting me. If these records were out of order, and let's say something was off, and one tribe gave 60 shekels instead of 70, then we would be like, oh, I wonder what that is. Was that a mistake? And once you see a mistake, then you're wondering how true the whole thing is, right? So I think having that level of accuracy and detail in the record keeping really just lets you understand that this has to be real, because who else would... You know what I mean? Like, why does it say this so many times? It has to be an accurate record.
Yeah.
And it's developing a standard of consistency.
Yeah.
So I think it's important not only just to have record of the facts, right? It's important to have extraordinary record keepers so that you can keep up with the facts, but it's also for consistency, so that now that we're reading it thousands of years later, we can trust that this is real. I think that's, but what do you think? Why do you think it's important?
Well, I agree with you exactly. But I also think that they were extraordinary record keepers because of the fear of the Lord, right? If he's given specific instructions and people are dying, you're going to want to make sure that you keep it because you don't want to die. So that has been passed down, I believe, right? And two, I think this is a part of their heritage to keep these specific records. That's why I think it's their history.
Yeah.
Right? Plus ours, because we're talking about the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So with history, listen, with history, something's gonna always fall off. But even if you go back to all the history books, everything is written down, and you want to try to keep it as close to the truth as possible. But I think the thing that stands out from the Bible is that this is what God, right, deemed necessary for the world to survive. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So but I think that's why they were extraordinary record keepers, because they're like, we could die.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
we gotta get this right.
We gotta get it right. I mean, especially like Aaron's sons, they just were playing. I don't know what they were playing around. They just lit a fire that God told them not to, and they died on the spot. That gets seared in your brain. So, Numbers 8 through 10, setting apart the Levites, celebrating Passover, the cloud above the tabernacle, silver trumpets, and leaving Sinai. So, we had to think, who were the Levites? We did our research with this. The Levites, guys, Faith looked it up. The Levites...
Good old Bible dictionary.
Yes, they were remember when Moses went up to Mount Sinai, he was talking to God, and he had the 10 Commandments, and he told Aaron, like, I'll be back. They created a bull, and they were worshiping a false idol. God tells Moses says, please forgive them. Moses comes down, breaks the Ten Commandments because he's so angry that people are worshiping the false idol. Remember that. And he said, people that worship the false idol go over there. People that worship, God come over here. And the priest,
The tribe of
the
Levi.
tribe of
Right.
Levi, came over to Moses' side, thus Levites. So that's what the Levites are. And then God actually said to Moses and Aaron, I want the Levites to actually take care of the sanctuary. So I'm gonna like bless them and give them. I'm gonna give them a blessing to take care of like the tabernacle, to break it down, because only people from Israel could do it because they were chosen people.
Right, they could only they could touch the things in the tabernacle, but the Levites or the Levites, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. They played a major role because they were with Moses, and so they were given their roles too within, like when they were picking up and leaving the camp, they were the people who would carry the things. And they were led by this cloud, so they knew God was around because there was a specific cloud that would come and hang over the tabernacle. So when the cloud moved, they moved. If the cloud stayed, they stayed for days. I think they said sometimes several days. I don't know if they said years, but basically they were just moving with the cloud because they knew that was God's presence. And the daytime it was a cloud. At night it said something about it being like fire. Right, so they knew God's presence was over the tabernacle, and that's important because of this question that James is about to ask.
Yeah, because you're right. It says the appearance of fire. Oh, but so they yes, and then they're talking about the trumpets and leaving Sinai, which Mount Sinai is where, this land is holy. So this is when the Ten Commandments is created. So it seems like they're finally leaving Sinai, which is pretty big. If God brought a cloud over a certain part of your neighborhood each day, how would it improve your faith?
This is funny because we kind of talked about something like this, but it would kind of be scary / comforting. It would. I already know that God's presence is around. But it would just be a reminder, and it would improve my faith because it would be something that I could see consistently all the time and just be reminded of the fear that I have for God. And so sometimes, in our modern day world, it's easier to forget or to say, oh, well, I'm just going to do what the world is doing because that's what we see. That's what we're experiencing. And that's why we have to kind of get, me and you talk about this all the time. It's like you have to get in God's presence. You have to like actually take steps to seek him, because otherwise, if you're just distracted, the world is a distraction. Like anything, like work is a distraction, like drama is a distraction. So anything that you're experiencing, that's not of God is a distraction from God. So the cloud, if God brought a cloud over a certain part of my neighborhood every day, it would improve my faith because I'll be like, yo, it's right there, right? Like I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about my phone. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about what's on TV. I'm like, yo, you see this cloud? I'm about to pray. So, I like to think I pray a lot, but that would just be a constant reminder, right? Even if it wasn't there every single day, just knowing that, like, oh, I saw it, and I know y'all saw
it. yeah. So we did talk about this. Like, can you imagining a cloud that that God is there? Which humans have this crazy thing that we have to see it for it to be real. So
where's the proof?
Yeah, where's the proof? Well, if God had a cloud, it would I'm just being honest, man. I think a lot of people would be scared and that's what they would fear the Lord. I don't think people would be running around here acting crazy. They would be like, oh, the clouds here.
Right.
There's God. Like it would I would it would improve my faith because and I'm gonna continue to hark on this, and I don't know, um, you know, I just I don't want, I don't know how other people are gonna take it, but I don't care. I'm just realizing the more fearful you are of the Lord, and the more you read His Word and follow Him, the more your faith increases, the more wisdom you get. You got to tap into the Bible, and I'm getting more and more fearful.
I am too.
Because I'm reading this and I'm like, yo, I would have been dead multiple times over. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't. The rules.
You mean if you were living back in this time? Right,
I'm
right.
just gonna be honest, guys. I know. I just not be, facetious. I only know maybe a couple people. I don't even know, that I don't even know.
We
if
don't
I
know
anybody.
what people are living like.
I don't know anybody because these rules are very specific, and they were living differently. And if I'm seeing a cloud, then of course it's going to improve my faith, which it shouldn't. That's the whole thing, right? It shouldn't. You should already fear God, but you fear God by gaining wisdom, and you're gaining wisdom by reading the Bible. That's my take. That's what I'm sticking. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, guys. So, all right. Now, these chapters are very interesting because we talked about this, and this is very interesting, and we're probably gonna have a good segment on this, and I'm okay with that. So, 11 through 13, fire and quail from God. Miriam and Aaron rebel. Spies find Nephilim in Canaan. So, the fire and quail from God. Okay. This is why this hit home so much for both of us.
Yes.
Because people, when I read it, God has given everything to the Israelites. Everything they can think of. They wanted out of slavery. I got you. Pharaoh's gonna kill us. I got you. God, we need food. You can have bread every morning. We need rules to live by. I got you. I even have a place to worship me. You got a place to worship me. You complain because you don't have meat. I've given you everything that you asked for times 10. And this is the thing that we were talking about. Like, and I do it. And
this hit home.
And it hit home because we complain so much and forget how much the Lord has given us. And we complain like we want more. And He's like, more? You're not even doing... I've given you so much and you're not even appreciating it. Everything that you've asked for, I've given to you. And you still don't appreciate it. And you complain to me like I haven't given it to you. And when I read this, I was like, I do this. And I don't know, and I think that's what we all should be getting out of the Bible. Right? And the more that I'm reading it, the more... Now listen, I'm not going to lie. I have to get better at reading the parts where specific instructions over and over again. I think that comes with time. But it's parts that I read, like this part where they're complaining. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe they're complaining. I'm telling Faith, they're complaining, man. God gave them this. And then I'm thinking about it like, you complain too. You complain too, James. How much complaining are you doing? Look at yourself. Look at yourself and think about that. Reading the
Mm-hmm.
Bible. Like, I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe you're doing it. So I mean that's so that kind of got out of that, man.
That's the trick bag. And what's funny is you already answered that the question.
Oh
Try to
yeah,
count the miracles that people have seen to this point to reflect on this anger.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna veer off of that because I'm gonna go by what you were saying about what we learned out reading numbers. I think it was numbers like 11.
11. It was 11.
Yeah. And they were like, give us meat so that we may eat. And God got angry because it's like, I've given you everything you've asked for. I've brought you out of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still sitting here like whatever they did have to eat, it
Mm-hmm.
was like it wasn't good enough for them or something. And that's one of the trick bags. I feel like when you're reading the Bible, the whole gag is they're talking about you. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that a lot of us humans,
Mm.
if not all of us, have in common is the judgment of ourselves, the judgment of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like so easy to see something wrong with somebody else and not take it on yourself. But the real gag of the Bible reading is the fact that you're taking a look into your own life. So as we read this, and I'm like, man, they complaining they just got out of Egypt, and I'm like, I'm doing the exact same thing. So it definitely hit me in a way. And then it had me think about all of the things that he did for them and the things that he's currently doing as we're reading. And it just made me make this connection. Like, whatever you get out of reading is what you get out of it. I actually feel like, everybody's going to take something away different from reading different things. Just like you watch a movie and you might see something that somebody else didn't see, or you might like a song and another person might hate that song. It's like you get out of it whatever it is that you get out of it. I think it's the same way with the Bible. But in this case, it's interesting to me because I think we all complain about something. I don't think I've met one person who just doesn't complain about anything. I mean, maybe I have, but I think we all have complaints. We all have judgments. Even if we don't make the complaints, we have them. And it's so something that we all have in common because we are standing here breathing, we're eating, we're all of these things that we don't even take into account. There's people in pain. Even if you're in pain, you're alive. Even, you know what I mean, even if you lost somebody, you still have life, or you still have something that God wants you to do. So it really hit home, this part, because it really made me take a good look at myself. And the one thing that I wanted to point out about this was the cloud, and the idea that they should, they're focused on this cloud, and that's how they're making moves, right? If God were to even give them the whole sort of like GPS journey out at once, right? Like, we're going here, would they even be so obedient? Because he's having to piecemeal things to us. And this is where I take complete ownership and like understanding, like, he's having to tell us what to do every day, almost like every hour, every minute. Like, we're needing to seek him, and that's on purpose because when he's not guiding you, what is guiding you? What's better to be guiding you? You know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, like, if they were complaining because they didn't have something to eat, it's like you're missing the whole point here. I'm guiding you. I've taken you out of Egypt. You saw what I did to the Egyptians for you, right? Now you've experienced all of these miracles, and I'm bringing you every day. Every day. You've never run out of food. You've never run out of water. All the things I asked you to do so specifically, I gave you the tools. I gave you the technique. I told you exactly what I wanted you to do. I'm guiding you every single day. I'm telling you when to stop, when to start, how to do it. And you are just sitting there talking about you don't have this and you don't have that.
Crazy.
And he ended up giving it to him anyway. Okay, you want meat? Here.
Yeah.
And he sent it to them. And what happened was they got sick. There was a plague. And it made me just think to myself about how many times I sit there and complain about every part of my life. every part of my life, things I do to myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I want to lose
Yeah.
weight. Well, you're the person who does the thing
Mm-hmm.
that makes you need to lose weight. Like, oh, I want to be more organized. Well, you're the person who has the
Mm-hmm.
time to organize, but you do something else instead. Or, anything. It could be about
Mm-hmm.
work. It could be about some obligation that I have that I signed up for. It could be about anything, even just the way I feel, just sitting there complaining. Like, people complain that they're bored. What? You know what I mean? Like, we complain about a whole bunch of different stuff, but it just kind of stopped me in my
Mm-hmm.
tracks right there, because I was like, yo, this is me.
Yep.
I am the Israelites.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild.
It's
It's a
wild.
wild
It's
trip to sit
wild,
there and
man.
think about
Yeah.
all of that. So anyway,
Yeah, but I wanted with the fire and quail.
yeah.
So God gives it to them. He gives it to them, and they overindulge. So then he gets mad, and then he plagues some people.
Yeah.
I mean, God doesn't play around, guys. Like, I don't have time. Like, listen, I can control everything. I am God. I create everything. Listen. I create dinosaurs. I've created you.
Mm.
You only use 10% of your brain.
Mm.
You don't even know what you're capable of.
You don't even know how to do it.
How to do it.
He has to tell us.
He has to tell us.
That's wild.
Yeah, he has to tell us. So like, you got relax. All right. So here's another thing that stood out is so Miriam and Aaron. I don't know where this came from. Maybe envy, but they rebel against
ego.
They rebel against Moses, and it's like, well, they ask God why, and then I'm gonna let Faith go into what we learned about Moses, because the Bible says Moses was the meekest person
who walked the earth.
And Faith was like, what is meek?
I mean, I knew what meek means. Yeah. What we think meek means. It's almost like derogatory, or not derogatory, but like it's almost like a the way we use it current day, it's almost like a dig on someone, like or it's not a compliment. Yeah. It's not really a compliment, right? You're meek.
So meek.
It's almost like we equate it to be weak.
Yeah.
But from when we were reading, and like I said, I have the amplified version of Joyce Meyer, and she really breaks down the fact that, like, when you think of a meek person, what image comes to mind? You can answer that. But that's not, meek doesn't mean weak. Meek is an illustration of getting angry at the right time and the right measure for the right season. And Moses was the meekest man on the face of the earth, but he was able to maintain a careful balance between emotional extremes. Really, the only couple times I've seen him even get upset was when people weren't doing the right thing, right? Like, he came to God right before the Muriel thing, or Miriam, sorry, and he was upset that they were complaining about what they didn't have when we've seen all these miracles. But isn't it funny, though, that as soon as his brother and sister Aaron and Miriam tried to get on him and say, well, you're not the only person God is talking to, and they tried to just say, like, well, what makes you so special, in so many words. God took care of that. And so that also brought out a different point to me, because it's like, you think you have to even defend yourself sometimes, but seek God. God will take care of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? God will take care of it. And being meek is not a bad thing.
No.
Being meek is being, a lot of times, even in the current way we think of it, it's being respectful. It's being tempered. It's being calm.
Yes.
And that's best.
Yes.
It's best to be calm.
Yes.
When you're not calm, you know what I mean? Even just now when you were looking for your wallet, right? It's like, it doesn't really solve anything.
No, being
angry or anxious, or being excited is good when you're having a good excitement.
Yeah.
But even when you're nervous, or you're when you're having an experience that is less than favorable, I'm just gonna try to be meek.
Yeah, and we hear this from people all the time. Emotions cloud reasoning. Being calm. It's even an example of, it's Paul when he was in jail. He was calm. He went to sleep. You at certain points that you have to be. Joseph was in jail. He was calm.
Mm.
This is the thing. Like you have to be calm, but it's so hard because if you're not calm, you can kill your brother like Cain killed Abel.
Yeah.
Anger blinds, right? Being impatient. Abram and Sarai being impatient. It's all these emotions. Now, if you're meek, you're calm, you'll be able to become a good decision maker. And we're going to end on this. But what happened was Aaron and Miriam were like, well, you know, God, and this is what God said. God said, I give people visions, right? People, they hear me in a vision.
Yeah, he's talking from Numbers.
He's talking
12.
from
You're talking from Numbers 12:6.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, hear my words. If there's a prophet among you, I make myself known to him in a vision. I speak to him in a dream. So yes, if God's speaking to you, it does come in visions and dreams. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys?
Yeah, that's how it comes to me.
Yes, me too. Here's the thing. With Moses, he's speaking directly to him.
Mouth to mouth,
mouth
it says.
To mouth. I'm talking to him with specific instructions.
Clearly and openly and not in riddles.
Yes.
And he beholds the form of the Lord.
Yep.
Wow.
Which means if you're speaking against Moses, you're speaking against the Lord.
You're speaking against his, You're speaking against his words because Moses is just transferring back what he's hearing from the Lord. And then, look, what did he say? What was it, 12? Numbers 12:8. Like the end of Numbers 12:8. It's like, and he beholds the form of the Lord. And then God said what? Right before 9.
Oh, why were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Why are you not afraid to speak against him?
Yeah.
You should be.
You should be. Why? Do you know who I am?
I speak directly to Moses.
I speak directly to Moses.
What? You should be afraid to check him.
And now, because we're gonna end it on this note. This is what happens. He gives Miriam leprosy. Aaron turns around. She has leprosy.
It just says she was white as snow.
As white as snow. And I think that's the most severe form, I think.
I mean, I would think.
I think
and then Moses turned around and prayed for her and said, God, please don't kill her. And
God said, okay.
It's wild to me.
He said, I'll let her go out for 7 days. Mm-hmm. But he said, but if her father has spit in the face, should she not be ashamed for 7 days? Let her be outside the camp for 7 days, and then she'll be brought in again. Don't you ever go against me.
And that just, I mean, look,
and Miriam and Aaron are, they're not just regular people. They are in the tabernacle. Aaron is specifically talking to God. He's like the head priest.
He's the priest. Yeah.
He's the head priest. So,
if they can get dealt with, then
yeah.
I'm scared. I'm scared, y'all.
So, that's it.
I don't even have a question this week. I'm just, I want you guys to just come on this journey with us. Yes. We're having such a good time and we're learning so much. Yeah. And we don't know, I don't want to say we don't know it all. We don't know any of it all. We're learning what we, are interpreting, but we just would love you guys to just come on the journey, like, comment, subscribe, share, ask us your questions, what we think. We want to know what you guys think. Yes. And this is fun. And listen, it's scary. It's fun. It's really informational. You would be shocked at how many of these stories and rules and laws apply to you, right? Like, I can only speak for myself, but I have to imagine it's like this for everybody. Yeah. Like, you would be shocked at how valuable it would be for you to have this information. So, and it's fun to read along together with somebody. I can tell you that. It
is just the different interpretations, and sometimes I won't get something and she'll get something, and then we'll look it up, and it's good, and we're learning about each other. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna say this. I'll always say this when we leave, right? So don't take our word for it. Go to the source.
Read your Bible.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all.
See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.